Welcome back to Anime Savants, everyone. This week I am Strelitzia.
Oh shit, this week I am Yusuke Urameshi again!
Oh yeah, because of the shirt. But
yep.
Oh wait, what is that shirt from?
This is just a mock-up of like an anime fighter. Like you have
I was gonna be like, damn, is that really real? I was like,
I'd play the shit out of that, but it don't exist. God.
Yeah, and this week, I don't know what the fuck we're going to be talking about, like, in depth, because there's so much shit to tackle. So, we're just going to tackle stuff. I'll go first. I didn't like Skull Knight, you guys. I didn't like it. I'm sorry. I didn't like it. Like, I'm gonna try to keep watching it, but the rape scene was the most interesting part about the fucking episode. That
tells you something right there, don't it?
That's pretty bad. At least that sounds so bad if someone just like took that out of context. That's so fucking bad.
Going right in with the hard R word.
Oh my god.
Right off the bat.
That's really all that got me. Like, he's OP already. So I don't know. Like, there was no lead up. I don't really see there being like a big bad. It kind of looks like he's gonna help the Elven girl as the main part. It seems like comedy is supposed to be a big part of it, but the jokes weren't funny. Like, they weren't funny. It was. I think I see a lot of people calling him like he's a Chad, he's a dude, bro, and I'm like, yeah, and that's why he's lame as fuck. Like, I'm just not really seeing the appeal. But that's just me. That's just me. I'm not saying if you like it, like, you have shit taste, but I don't know. It didn't, and I watched the whole episode. Like, I watched the episode. I stopped midway because I was like, no one's watching this, right? And then I went and looked, and the reception was like, yo, we love this. Oh my God. I was like, wait, well, maybe there's something in the latter half of the episode. So let me go back. And I went back, and I was like, I still don't like this. Like, the opening is great. The opening is actually really fucking fun. Like, that, I was like, yo, this shit is good. Other than that, I was just... It was a lackluster first episode. To me. So, maybe it's different for other people. Maybe different people are looking for different things, and they liked it, but... You said you watched it. How did you enjoy it?
I watched a little bit of it. That should tell you how I felt about what was going down. It didn't do anything for me personally. I get a little burnt out when I see the exact same visual premise repeated over and over again, which is like, if you say that about as an anime fan, like that's gonna get you out of a lot of series.
Yeah.
That's what is constantly done. I also was put off by the character.
Yes.
Like, yeah. And that's actually a recurring complaint that I'm going to have with a lot of the shows that I've started sort of blind this season, is a distinct lack of character. Either just copy and paste, from other series, or tragically just boring characters with nothing special to offer. So I didn't even really make it. It feels like
there's no substance behind his character already.
Yeah. So I didn't make it. And I'm not super excited about following on either, especially because the one show that I did like out of the new stuff that's dropped in the last week is so, abundantly full of character that how could I talk myself into some of these other shows?
I mean, yeah, there's that one. What else didn't I hit for me? I watched Love After World Domination. It wasn't bad, but I'm definitely like, do I want to watch this on a regular basis, or should I just like save this up or watch it randomly? And it's more so of the, I want to save this up and watch this randomly. I don't think I want to cover this on a weekly basis, simply because there's not much behind it. They're both awkward. It's their first time dating someone. They're not teenagers. The Sentai aspect is entertaining, and it plays into the comedic effect where they're all, one is soda, one is peach, one is lemon, wanted like that. Okay, yeah, like it gave me Pretty Cure vibes, where I was like, this reminds me of a Pretty Cure season because you guys have like these like same similar themes or whatever. But the fighting was interesting, and like when things were happening, I was like, oh, okay, like they put something into this as far as like animation wise. But I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be a serious show, but also the comedy just wasn't hitting for me.
You see Artemis has shown up, to join the podcast.
The tail.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe Sentai people, Sentai fans probably got more of like a kick out of it than I did. But I was looking at it primarily from like the romance aspect of it. And it wasn't very intriguing to me in that sense because they were just so afraid to even hold hands. And there was no build up beforehand of, like the way that they met was expounded upon. But beyond that, we got a time skip into where they're at right now. So there was no like, development of how those emotions bloomed and why they're at where they're at in the first episode.
Why? Yeah, why is this happening?
Exactly. So maybe that will be expounded upon later. But as far as the first episode, I kind of was just like, okay, like I'm giggling here, I'm laughing there, but at the end of the day, I'm still trying to push myself through the episode and just get through it to the end to say, okay, we'll see. Maybe. But then
there's also a lot of romance this season in general. Like there's a ton.
But also it's a lot of not good romance.
Yeah. From that's kind of the problem.
What I'm witnessing, I'm like, a lot of this shit is not good. Like, we just got spoiled by My Dress Up Darling. And here you come with this? Oh man, no.
Yeah,
even just like looking back to Horimiya, I'm like, damn. Even in Skate, like fucking Longa and Reki's relationship were developed better than some of this stuff. Like, I don't know. It's not hitting for me personally. Some people love shows like this, or they love the underdog shows because they're saying, oh, you got to stick in there. You got to like see what's gonna happen. But in a similar fashion, Banished from the Heroes Party has a similar production value to all these shows that I'm talking about right now. But within the first episode, they set up an intriguing mystery. They didn't overdo the fucking like hilarity and shit like that. They were just like, this is that. The main character was shown to have depth, and the world at large was kind of just like, well, you're here, and I guess we're just gonna do like a slice of life while the world is burning to death. Like, is this really what this is going to be? But that's how they started it off, with the question of, are you sure you think you know what you're watching? Because we're probably not gonna give you what you think you're gonna get. And they didn't. But that's what kept me coming back to that, even though the production wasn't like, like Demon Slayer or like Ufotable level, or Cloverworks or something like that. It wasn't. And I don't need that.
I think last couple seasons, like my point of view, some of the most fun I had were with shows where the production value was not like off the charts at all.
Yeah, there's like a certain
right. Yeah, there's a certain basic level you can get to. I think I'm hoping to have that feeling again about another one of these like mid-tier shows that just has really good writing, or something about the premise really sticking out, and just in general. I know I didn't see this one, but I haven't really found that yet this season.
I mean, I'm looking forward to Summertime Rendering. I think, what is that, like next week? I'm hoping that's going to be the one that
next Monday.
Is it next Monday?
Or is it Sunday?
Oh wait, is it this week?
It's the 15th. Is that Friday? I think it's the 15th. Let me look at it.
Oh, it's Friday. That's Friday.
Yeah. So it is this week.
So I'm looking forward to that one for sure. Aharon-san, I know y'all love that one. I just couldn't put it in me to do the second episode. But the main reason why, and this is why I'm giving a lot of this stuff another try, is because I marathoned the entirety of Kaguya-sama season 2, and I watched the first episode of season 3 with like all last week. But it wasn't just me like watching it. I had to like, edit them and, post and stuff like that and things like that. So maybe my like, energy levels weren't of the same like, relaxed way. So maybe I didn't consume the first episodes in the same way that I usually do. So I'm giving a lot of them another chance, like, 2 or 3 episode rule. But I don't know.
It's tough.
I did watch more than that, but what did you watch?
So I'll speed through a couple of the returners that have either started this week or started last week that I like, but I don't think are going to appeal to everybody. The first off is Legend of Galactic Heroes. I think that it's great, and I want people to watch it, but it's also a very specific kind of series, and we're getting to my favorite part of the story.
It's space opera, right?
Yeah.
You went into detail about this one.
Yeah, it is a legitimate OG space opera with a lot of depth and political maneuvering and a gigantic cast of characters, battles that are hundreds of thousands of ships, and all the mind games and trickery and all. It's great. It's been great. Every version of it has been great, and this new version by Production IG continues to be chef's kiss. If you're into this stuff.
Production IG is
that is where it. And the funny thing, it's one of those series that since I believe it started as a novel, not a light novel, an actual just novel series in the 80s or was it early 80s? And every iteration has been a smash hit in Japan, but getting it to really stick outside of the country is a really tough sell, because the original novels weren't even translated until the mid 90s, and it's sort of we talk about series like Tower of God as being facsimiles of One Piece in terms of their breadth, but just in a different culture. So if you weren't reading Korean, comics, then you might never run across it, right? It's a niche because of where it comes from. I would compare Legend of Galactic Heroes to, any of the big sci-fi space operas in the West, a Dune, whatever, but you're not going to run across it unless you were deep into Japanese stuff. So I do recommend it for sci-fi fans. It is hard sci-fi, and so you don't get much of that at all. So general recommend. I will be watching it week to week, but it's not necessarily going to be covered here because I just think it falls kind of outside of what we like to talk about. The other returner is Kingdom. In season 4, the first episode came out this past week. I would say that Kingdom is long. We're on season 4, so you have a lot of episodes to catch up on if you really wanted to. The first 2 seasons were released almost 8 or 9 years ago. I think it was 8 or 9 years ago. And then they came back after a big break with season 3 with a higher production value and, where we're at right now. Season 4 is fantastic. They're in a particular arc that is tons of fun, lots of characters. The scale goes up, levels up every arc. So we're at
because the guy
hundreds of thousands
promotions or something in the
that's
military
right. Yeah, exactly. So his forces get bigger, the armies he's facing get bigger, the situations, the tactics, the character, it's super over the top. It's awesome, but it's hard to recommend because season 4 jumps right into the midst of an ongoing story that's continuing from season 3. So I recommend it again, but really if you are willing to at least invest in going back to season 3 and watching it if you haven't seen it. But the production value is very good. It is not a Demon Slayer level sort of show, but if you compare it to what they were doing in the first couple seasons many years ago, it's a completely different show. So hearty recommend on both of those, even though it's not, we're not going to be covering it here. Do you want to talk about Shield Hero?
Sure. It was more of the same to me. The new girl's annoying. She's annoying. That I have no other description for her. She's annoying. I can almost already see her plot line because they've already been dropping all the hints with oh, you're really good at controlling Nin or Ren or whatever the fuck it is. And I'm like, oh, okay, so that's gonna be you. Okay. Oh, you gotta power up because you became a slave. Okay, so it's not going to take, you don't need a full training arc. You're going to literally train during battle. You're going to have an episode where you're going to be a huge burden to Naofumi, and then you're going to have a come to Jesus moment, and then you're going to start fucking being a beast. And then you're also going to have you're going to have a confrontation with Bow Boy, and then you're going to feel better about yourself and actually value your self-worth without depending on other people. Which I got to give the show kudos, even though this stuff hasn't even happened. I'm expecting this to happen, but I'm giving the show kudos to the fact that it's pushing the thing that, like, you know, you should not define yourself by someone else's worth or, like, you know, measure of you, which, and especially for a girl. So that's great. But how long is this going to last? That's what I want to know. Like, how long will we be doing this? Like, is the turtle going to take up the whole season? I only say that because Shield Hero usually moves along at a decent pace. Like, that's one thing I will give Shield Hero. They don't really stick on a lot of arcs for that long. And it seems like they popped up the, like, you know, the turtle a lot. But they do have my attention because the timer stopped. In the opening, the Scythe dude is back, and I guess, like, the Jewel girl is back, and they're just showing a whole bunch of characters that look like they're also from alternate worlds that are in some kind of game competition. So my biggest thing is I want to know, what is the world order for, like, all of the worlds, not just Naofumi's world, and then where does, like, modern society fit into that? That's what I'm interested in. And Victoria, I think she's a beast character because she was like, I will kill you niggas if you don't get along. Like, stop playing with me. So
yeah, like, I am of two minds about Shield Hero. I think that it turned in the last season, it kind of turned into what I knew it was, which is kind of like a mascot show where the interesting ideas that it was exploring with its core cast, Naofumi, and I guess a couple of the harem members. I'm just gonna lump them all together. Like, there was some interesting concepts there, and there was also a trajectory for growth. Now, I am not a fan as much as a lot of other people of, like, ReZero, but, like, one of the good things about the way the story is paced in ReZero is that we have a piece of shit main character. The depths of his shittiness are not revealed all at once in the first season. And so there are opportunities for his character to grow as we learn more about the lore of the world, all that other stuff. So whatever you want to say about the pacing of that series, there was always somewhere for the character to go along with the story. My feeling about Shield Hero is that by the end of the first season, I felt like there really wasn't much further for Naofumi's character to go, as far as, like, addressing the things that made him kind of a piece of shit, right? Because that was kind of the focus of the first season. In this new first episode of the next season, a lot was done to create more drama. Because that is usually also a problem. It's like you blow all your best ideas for, like, the bad guys and the danger in the world, everything else. You blow it all in the beginning, and then you're left in subsequent arcs or stories trying to recreate the same feeling. I think that, like, the story and the world development is pretty strong in season 2, and it's leading to a place where there are going to be some interesting things. But as you pointed out, we've kind of already seen the template for the supporting characters in the cast to grow, and they're the only real characters that had or will ever have growth. And if I'm already seeing in the first episode that they're fast forwarding at least one of those characters to just get, you know, to the cool thing,
get on their level,
right? It feels like it's a character and storyline being retrofitted onto the main plot. It doesn't feel organically a part of things. Like,
I agree with that because she literally came out of nowhere at the end of last season. I was like, why? Why this character? Like, it would be one thing if throughout the first season they had interactions with her that led to this, but it was just at the end of the first season they were like, yeah, we abandoned her. Okay. I was like, oh,
right.
What?
Right.
Okay, but why you gotta pick her? Leave her in the village.
Right, and I have never particularly cared about the world that they were inhabiting beyond, like, what are the what are the rules for what's going on? Like, it's
Yeah.
not a very, like, well-drawn society. There are some, like, notable characters who do a lot of interesting things and lead to some drama in season 1, but it's not a place where, like, I want the show to come back so I can revisit this world. I kind of wanted the show to come back so I could revisit some of the drama that it mined. But, like, if the drama is more or less flattened, I don't care a lot about what's going on.
Yeah, I just want to know, like, I just want to see, like, new shields, what they can do. I'm tired of the raid shield already. That's your cheat card, nigga. Like, get something else. Or start using... I like it when
that fights. Annoyed me. Oh, my God.
I like it when he fights and uses multiple shields, like, abilities together. That's what I enjoy seeing. The raid shield, I'm just like, all right, you're going to have to do this because the person is, like, insanely powerful and you never dealt with this kind of stuff before, et cetera, et cetera. I get that. But also, I'm like, okay, well, nigga, now you need to start, like, transforming, or it can't just be the raid shield just being, like, kaboom. Like, there needs to be something happening. Like, there needs to be some repercussion. Because
if you watch the first 3 episodes of season 1, you would be convinced that the power system of this world, or at least as it revolved around the main character, was a bunch of different highly specialized abilities that came with downsides.
Yeah.
That this individual would have to creatively use in order to live the power fantasy that it's trying to sell you. But by the end of season 1, as you point out, he's got a fucking cheat code. And at that point, it's just big balls of energy and then him, like, tanking a bunch of shit and then, going rage mode and it's done.
Yeah. The only thing that I think that might save that, which I feel like they might be hiding, but I'm not sure, is that we never see that nigga with his armor off. And so one thing that I noticed in the first episode was that when he uses the raid shield, there's, like, the black stuff that creeps up from his right arm from the shield. So I'm just wondering, I was like, well, can we see you without the armor on and, like, your body? Because, like, is it actually corrupting his flesh or something like that? Is there a repercussion for him to continually, like, use this shield? Or is it just literally a get out of jail free card? Which I'm not mad at that. But then also, you have to introduce something else that will trump that. Because otherwise, I don't really feel like he's ever going to be in trouble anymore. So,
right.
But that, like I said earlier, that's just me, though. That's just me. I'm probably expecting, like, a deeper plot or, like, a deeper complexity than what the show is willing to give us or what it's going to give us at all. But in the end, I still enjoy the show. I still enjoy the show. It's just that, things you enjoy are open to critique also. So
yeah, again, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that the structure of the story and the drama don't lead to anything I really care about. I will say the music in this episode and probably the season is fantastic.
Ooh.
Like, I really like the battle theme that's slightly remixed and some of the ambient stuff. Like, I really like that. But
okay, because I was gonna say I do not like that new opening.
No, fuck the opening. I didn't say anything about the opening.
Yeah, I did not like that. I was kind of just like, wow, y'all took like a few steps back with this one, because the second opening for the first season, that was a hit. Like,
yeah,
what y'all doing?
I'm talking about, like, the ambient music, the battle music from the first fight, the stuff in the castle. I think all of that is actually very evocative. But, like, it all comes back to the fact that they underdraw all of the supporting cast, and they're not, like, interesting. I don't know how else to say this.
To be honest, I expected an argument at the round table, and we didn't get it. And I was just like, wait, so y'all have already just y'all are y'all mad at Naofumi because you know that he's better than you now, or have you just basically been like, we still see this as a video game and we don't get it?
The thing about Shield Hero is that the thing that drove a lot of, like, the angst and anger in the that made you the. Yeah, exactly. It's been completely dissipated. We know that the main character is OP. Everyone knows that the main character is OP. So that right away eliminates the discrimination sort of revenge story.
Yeah.
It's not that it's not there, because people are kind of still a little bit shitty, but now all the focus is shifted to like the mistreatment of his supporting cast of characters and like their problems, but
And
like
honestly,
none of their problems matter.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care. I care more about the turtle. So let's just move it along. Let's get to the turtle. Let's figure out why it's the spirit turtle and why, like, if this is a game, then if the turtle is like a checkpoint. So, like, you can't continue the waves until you defeat the turtle. And if you don't defeat the turtle, the world's going to end. And if you do defeat the turtle, then you do get to continue doing waves and shit like that until you can save the world. If that's what that is, great. Cute little gimmick. Let's keep it going. I do not care about Rishia or Rethia or Green Hair Girl. I don't care. I'm sorry. I've seen the character before. I am interested in seeing her fighting style. Now, that's what I'm interested in seeing. But other than that, it's kind of like, okay.
Whatever.
I honestly was really disappointed when they went to the slave person because I thought that something interesting was going to happen. And it was just like, oh, you're just making her a slave? Like, that's really kind of like it's not a cheat code, but it's kind of like a cop-out on the character.
We've already done this. It's not particularly clever. It's
No.
like, oh, this is a way to get around whatever the issue is. You know, it's like, all right, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, let me stop there. I'm gonna stop there because I feel like I'm just gonna start going in circles. I'm gonna see what they do with the character. We'll see.
Okay, so next one on my list is something that I know you did not watch, and I probably wouldn't suggest you go ahead and do that. I watched Dawn of the Witch, which is a very odd series. It's technically a sequel to the light novel Grimoire of Zero.
Never heard of it.
Which I had never heard of in my life before. I don't fuck with light novels. That ain't my bag. And the premise is that our main character had his memories erased and then is enrolled in a magic school that is very, very Harry Potter inspired. You can tell that the author was into that and probably what was it? What was that Studio Trigger witch show? Little Witch Academia?
Yeah,
Witch Academia. Like aesthetically. And right away, the show feels like a pile of ideas, but none of them really gel in a consistent way. So the storyline is such that instead of this character being an amazing magic user in like an all-girls witch school or, you know, whatever, he has no real talent for magic, and he's basically told that if he doesn't, you know, figure his shit out in, 3 years, he'll have his memory erased again and he'll be sent out. Now, that actually presented a very interesting point, which they bring up in the show, which is he has no memory of his life before, and if he fails here, he'll have no memory of everything he did in the last few years, so he'd literally be an empty husk if he fails.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I see some tension, and then they immediately like punt his character out of the school to go on an adventure with another tropey, the idea of like the lolly 300-year-old witch who's like a ball of energy and is gonna mentor him and blah blah blah. There's a lot of like
lolly.
Exactly. Individually, the ideas in this story and visually, the way a lot of the ideas are presented by themselves are interesting. My problem watching episode 1 of Dawn of the Witch was that none of them added to each other. It felt more like a salad than it did a stew, if that makes any sense.
Oh, no, like, that makes sense. Is it giving you like Cannon Busters vibes?
A little more coherent than Cannon Busters. So
okay.
Let me see if I can draw this out. Okay, so the structure of what the show wants to do is have mentor, who's the irascible sort of over the top 300-year-old witch mentor, as the foil for this very droll, timid, depressed, aspiring mage, and they're gonna go on a journey together with a couple other comrades, and then it'll sort of be like a world-spanning adventure. okay. Nothing weird or out of the ordinary with that setup. We see it all the time. But the problem is that because there's both a lot of real literal backstory in the whole other series that is not animated and is not told to you to be like required reading or viewing before you get into it, and the fact that they want to introduce a ton of ideas very quickly to make the show's mechanics work, all of those pieces feel like they're given to you in a way that doesn't fit together. So for example, they have a magic system. It seems to have a lot of rules and details, which are the reason why the main character is probably both underpowered and overpowered. You know, the whole dichotomy. They don't really communicate any of it. There's a scene, for example, where he's trying to go to the headmaster's office to go meet, you know, hot girl Dumbledore. And a fight breaks out between his future mentor and a servant of that, you know, of the master of the school. She drops her staff. He goes to pick it up. Both the servant and her stop their fight and say, "Oh, wait, bro, don't fucking do that. You're gonna die." And it's like, oh, okay, something cool's happening here. But when it comes up again, what I felt was like a rule to make tension, like don't touch the staff, it's gonna kill you, is immediately deflated with a bunch of gags about like how the staff is alive and it's hungry, it likes to eat shish kebabs, and like they bring one of the characters uses to bring water, and it's like, this is all, each of these ideas like have this like, you know, the staff be a character. That's cool, that's a great idea. The way it's communicated doesn't enhance anything else that's happening. And then when we meet the sort of supporting cast, there's like a you know, the cute girl with impossibly large boobs, and you're like, oh man, I've seen this character before. Her hat looks like a penis. That's all I can say. It just looks like a dick. And it's like, but like she's that ditzy but highly talented archetype, and then they give you some depth. It's like she has a scene where they're at the campfire and she's like, you think that I'm like really good at everything, I'm famous in the school for being like awesome and number one, but like I've had to smile my way through all of my life just to get anything, and this is like the first time I'm any good at something other than what I look like. And I'm like, oh, that's a cool idea. And then immediately it's like they cut to a scene where she is helping him overcome motion sickness. He's like throwing up, and like the camera zooms in on her boobs, and then they start glowing, and it's like, oh, they're doing this right now. What? Or like the lolly teacher who's 300 years old tries to do the whole like Yakuza, you know, sit up pose to like intimidate some shittier students, and does the thing where she like uncrosses her legs, and they spend like 20 seconds staring directly up her vag, and it's like, but it's like a lolly, so this is like a child's body, so it's not sexy, and it's like, why are we why what is the point here? Like it's a waste of time. So it just, I didn't want to watch anymore when I was done. And the sad part is that every character has the layers that I usually go for. It's just a method of presentation. It's both too slow and too fast. The voice actors, I think only one of them is really into it. The others are kind of
I'm here for my
just
check.
There. Right. And I didn't care about what was happening. They didn't even like get on the adventure. Like the main character gets motion sick, and then they teleport to like out of the woods into a town, and they literally just say like, good luck, good thing we found this inn. And I'm like, well, it'd been nice to like see them do some adventuring, like let's see what the world, have the shot where they're trudging through the woods and then it opens up and then you see vistas, right? That's what every video game and movie does. They visually communicate, this is a big, bold and beautiful world that's going to be full of colorful things, but instead everything is shot or animated close up, above the waist, very, very little establishing, you know, shots to tell us what the environment is like, which is a fucking shame because the color palette and some of the designs are actually pretty cool. Like the school was like, you know, anime Hogwarts, but like they did a good job with like the backgrounds and everything else, but we never get to sit in it. We never get to learn anything about it. So I was just like frustrated watching that first episode. did not get me excited to watch more, despite the fact that there was some genuinely interesting stuff being done. It was just the way it was communicated. So I'm not a fan of Dawn of the Witch, and if you look it up anywhere, it's kind of labeled as an ecchi, but it doesn't even really work as an ecchi either, because like, I mean,
that's what it sounded like to me, but
yeah, well, it's a little too wholesome. It's a weird thing to say after I just told you about like lingering shots on like vagina.
Lolly,
it's but it's a little too like vanilla in ways that are just boring for it to really to see. When I see ecchi, I'm like, okay, you're titillating, and then you're driving the story somewhere else. But this just felt like, oh, here's a shot of this character, or we've designed this one to just have gigantic boobs for no reason. Like, their boobs are so big on that one character, it just looks uncomfortable. It's not sexy. It's just like, man, her back must be fucking killing her.
They must be like Maid Dragon boobs.
Yeah, well, at least in Maid Dragon, there's that constant comic squashing and stretching, like, of all the characters. As they sort of like, you know, they use their ridiculous proportions for the purpose of visual storytelling, on top of the fact that they got huge boobs, right? Like, that's the joke sometimes, is how stacked or short stacked a lot of those characters are. Here it's like everyone else looks normal, and then you've got this one girl who's like this pile of ideas and also has like quadruple Fs, and you're just like looking at her like, I was watching the first episode saying to myself, I swear to God, I hope we don't get like a scene either now or sometime in the future where she tries to claim that like she was discriminated against, or like, people think mages are dirty. That girl would be the hottest thing in any the niggas would be falling over themselves to get up in between those. Like, don't try to paint me a sob story with this character, please. It doesn't make any sense. So
okay, so that's a no for me.
Yeah. Now, what else? Black Rock Shooter.
Oh,
I don't know if did you watch episode 1?
No, I fast forwarded to the dick part.
Did you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I saw what you were talking about, and I was like, why is this in the show? It was so weird. It was really weird. And like his voice and everything, and like the girl was just like leaning with the lollipop, like, can you put it away? Like, and I was like, what is this? But also, I was prepared. So what you told me, I was just like, okay, oh, and then it flipped. Oh, okay. And so like it's inside of him now. And then there's like girls strewn throughout the room that he's just raped. Just okay. So what happened in episode 2?
So episode 2 is what I feared before I started watching. My thoughts going in was that here's a CGI sci-fi action show with sort of ghastly creatures that are all robots and a bunch of girls with no clothes fighting in meaningless combat with explosions and other stuff. And probably when we got around to the story, the part that has to like tell a story, it's going to be a lot of like boring shot, reverse shot, sitting in some like, cave environment, or like, underdeveloped or underdressed city or bar locations, because the animators and the production staff couldn't really think of what to fill the rest of the world with. They kind of blew all their ideas on the hot chicks. But we didn't really get a lot of that in episode 1 because it was all violence in the open field. Well, episode 2 starts with a fight of Strength, which is literally the name of the other android robot girl.
Because it's Black Rock Shooter. They're not really trying.
Yeah. And Empress, and the voice actors they weren't given much to work with. Like, it was the literal thing of like the berserker character who hates the main character for reasons she can't remember because her memory's all fucked up, and they used to be allies a long time ago, but they lost. So we already know that like this fight is literally meaningless because
they're
this
gonna
individual
be together in the game anyway.
Exactly. They're gonna team up at some point. So then you get the problem of, well, I don't think they have a particularly visionary action choreographer. So like there were shots that I was frankly embarrassed that they put in the show. For example, like one Empress is kicked into a truck that's downed, or like a slab of metal off of a truck, and the shot is literally just a flat profile with the truck elements on the left side. And so it's so basic. You shoot the character across the screen, they hit the thing, and then you put a whole bunch of like effects or you do something interesting with an angle or something to like dress it up, because there's literally nothing happening in the shot. They just very poorly animated her going really fast and then hitting the thing and stopping, like dead stop, like an animate. I don't know how to describe this, but with like no physics. It was like boom, and I'm like, ooh, you left that in. Ugh, that doesn't
bode well for the rest of the episodes.
Yeah, and the thing that annoyed me was that there were times that they clearly visually wanted to do something interesting. Because remember, when you're doing a CG show, part of the benefit of doing those is that you can get more movie-like or cinematic camera angles that would just be very expensive to do with traditional animation or even digital animation. So there were a couple of shots where it's like, oh, okay, we see one character running, then some, projectile gets fired, then have the camera track under in one shot, track under the projectile, get around it, and then you get the boom, you get the impact. And I was like, okay, that one was good. But then it would be followed by a shot of like meaningless explosions and then a really bad ragdoll, like, of the body rolling in a way that just, it's a flat plane. And I'm like, we really did not spend any money, like nothing, to dress this up or make it look good. So it just felt cheap. That's really what I was feeling throughout this whole episode, was just like, this is just cheap and meaningless.
Aww.
So the plot is, I could sum it up very easily. The whole, like, 80% of the episode was a mission to get the kid characters that we met in the first episode out of the story. So we see their town. It's like your very typical like future dystopia. People fight over batteries, and the kids are like, well, the reason we were out, in that dangerous place in Foundry was because our people are gonna run out of juice, and so we need to go steal a bunch of batteries from a base that we can't deal with, but you're strong, you can go do it. So they go on a little quest. We meet like a crazy mechanic who's also wearing a G-string, and it's like, okay, why like the weird thing about Black Rock Shooter is that the lore of the world is that there's something in the air that's like contaminating everything. So when people are outside, they're always wearing these like gas masks, which I was like, I guess that's a cool idea. It's very Metro, Last Light, whatever. But the problem is almost all the women are completely like naked. Even ones who are not not cyborgs, just like the regular people. So it's like, I put on a gas mask to protect me from the shit, but like, my eyes and ears, all my pores, everything is exposed. So then what the fuck is the point of the gas? You do realize that like you expire and also take in shit from the atmosphere through things other than your nose and mouth. It was just sort of like, they're like, yeah, well, come with a reason to put a gas mask on everybody so we don't have to animate faces. It was just cheap. And so it ends with a fairly meaningless fight where, we learn the true meaning of friendship, and then they leave.
The whole episode, okay.
Also there was this needless cursing, like they're just dropping F-bombs all over the place. The cute robot is like, fuck, these guys are crazy. And I'm like, stop. This is some try-hard shit, Disney.
Okay,
this is some try-hard shit.
This is great. I'm glad I didn't waste my time.
Yeah, don't watch this.
Literally fast forwarded to it.
Don't watch it. Great. There's no intrigue.
I just
There's
hate
nothing
that
funny.
The series keeps getting shit as far as like adaptation wise. But what the fuck was Disney even thinking?
I don't know.
This is a horrible first entry, is what it sounds
like
to me.
Is there even any other show or series on Disney Plus where people are dropping F-bombs?
No.
This has to be the only one.
Like, I could see this. No, HBO Max wouldn't put this on their shit. No, they wouldn't do this.
It's just so try hard in a way that's kind of embarrassing. Like, well, it's cheap, so it looks bad. Has like no, decent audio, no good voice acting. The music is very generic techno shit. There's rape for no good reason, and a lot of cursing and meaningless violence that has no impact and is poorly choreographed. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, what did they pay for? This is not, by the way, X-Arms. Like, X-Arms was just a complete amateur performance. This is a professionally made, animated show. It's just cheap and bad. So.
Well, that's Disney's problem now. Have fun.
Yup.
They have the money to waste, so I'm not whatever. That's gonna be what it's gonna be. I am shocked by the cussing and the rape though for a Disney platform, but they paid for it.
Would you, if you were like a Disney executive, and let's just assume that you were gonna go all in on a show or a property that was gonna do all that stuff, you're like, okay, we're gonna make some adult animation. Is this what you'd blow that on? No,
I would blow it on My Hero Academia. I would do everything I can to get My Hero. Like, that's like perfectly Disney.
I'm trying to think of like a live action TV series that has the same like edgy intent, but is Disney? Also, well, not Disney, just in general, like something that is also like super try hard. And you're like, why do they make this? Well, like The Boys is good. No. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like The Boys. If
I haven't watched it, but I heard that one's like real dark and like fucked up.
The Boys is good, but the reason here's all right. I'm throwing this together on the fly. The reason why this does not work, aside from the fact of all the production problems and everything else I was bringing up, is that it doesn't have any ideas, and so there's no reason to give it any benefit of the doubt. A show like The Boys, which is on Amazon, or Peacemaker, right, which is on HBO. It's on HBO, right? HBO Max, I think. Yes. Like, these are shows that are deliberately trying to be edgy and adult in a very try-hard kind of way, a way that would be cringy in another context because it's so on the nose about what, the edge it's trying to show you. But the difference between those shows and something like this is that all of those shows have some fundamental underlying idea that they are trying to explore. With all that, it doesn't mean you have to like it. Doesn't mean the idea is good. Doesn't mean that, like, if you're not into that stuff or you think that they're kind of whack, like, that's not my point. My point is that you can watch The Boys and you can very quickly understand the artist's intent. What were they trying to say in this this like gross, over the top deconstruction of superhero power fantasy, right? You can see it. If you don't like it and you think that it's just bloody and foul mouthed and, whatever, that's okay. You could dismiss it on those grounds. Peacemaker is the same way. You cast John Cena, the most wholesome whatever dude, in a fairly wacky, incredibly violent TV series exploring a character that is a complete, like, psychopathic degenerate, but it has a ton of, like, comedy in it, and none of that could work for you, but the idea is still the same. You get what's going on. Black Rock Shooter has no ideas. It's just like, hey, anime girls in thongs
fighting
with fighting in a wasteland.
Just make the body pillows and leave us alone. I don't
right it, like, completely weightless combat that doesn't mean anything, and a storyline about robots in a dystopian like, whatever. Fuck off. Like, I have no interest. So
I watched Kaguya-sama. I watched a shit ton of Kaguya-sama to the point where I'm caught up, and I watched the first episode of season 3. But just going back, I just want to say that Kaguya-sama season 2, episode 11 was one of the best episodes of anime I've ever seen.
Holy shit.
Like, it was, and I'm not saying just like, animation wise or whatever. I'm just talking about from like a character development point of view, and like a moment of like truth and realization. That was one of the best fucking anime episodes I've ever seen. It had nothing to do with romance, had nothing to do with the main couple. It was literally all about a supporting character. And it was fucking phenomenal. Like, it was fucking phenomenal. Like, kudos. So, like, if you've been thinking about watching Kaguya-sama, at least watch it up to that point. Which, I mean, it's basically almost catching you up anyways. But it's worth the watch because, the gags are funny. But when it gets serious, which I didn't really expect the show to get serious that much. But when they hit the serious tones, like, the serious tones hit, like, very well. But yeah, that Kaguya-sama season 2, episode 11, that shit had me like, oh damn, like, I fucks with this. Like, I really fucks with this. And the return for season 3 was great. It was more of the same. It seemed like nothing had changed. And honestly, it's almost like it's getting better and better. Like the way that, first of all, you've talked about how a lot of the seiyus that you've been hearing in these episodes have been like, bitch, it's whatever. Like they're not even trying. Kaguya-sama seiyus are having the time of their life. Like they're really living it the fuck up. And like even in the third premiere, like at the end of the episode, because they're doing a game of like, arm wrestling and shit like that. And even at the end, there's like some people talking, and in the background, the two characters who started the fuck shit in the first place are arm wrestling, and the weakest one wins, and then the one that was like talking all the shit to like embarrass the other one starts crying because they're like, you broke my arm, you bitch, like blah 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 blah. And I'm like, this is funny because these are the characters that I know. And like, yeah, like this is also like a development for like one of the characters who everyone thought was like innocent, but actually she's like, you're a cheating ass bitch. Like you just cheat all the time and you're part of the board game club. So like, what are you like, anyways, it's great. I love it. And what else did I watch? Oh, Spike's Family. Or Spy Family.
I wanted to get to that one. I desperately wanted to get to that one.
Best premiere so far.
Yeah, hands down. This is most likely the one of only two things I will look forward to every week. Easy. Easy.
Yeah. For me, yeah, same here. I loved it. I loved everything. The fucking whatchamacallit? Anya's voice actor. They told me Anya's voice actor is the voice actress that does Juju in Dress Up Darling. So I was like, that's cute. I was like, okay. But also, first of all, just the whole thing. Anya's character design on top of the Seiyu, I'm just like, just fucking pure, just perfect. Perfect. Like the moment she started speaking, I was like, oh my God.
Yep.
Just, oh, fuck, it's adorable. Yep. The whole premise. First of all, they did so much in the first episode and it didn't even feel rushed. Like, that's all I'm asking. I'm intrigued. Where are we going? The comedy intersperses throughout it perfectly, while also having serious moments where I'm like, yeah, man, like, so you got to pass too. And like, we have reasons for why people are doing things in the beginning. And I think that differentiates this show from a lot of the other shows where I'm kind of just like, how'd you niggas get here? And this one, literally, we don't have to have the full backstory. I just know that he grew up in a warring country and was fucking abandoned and an orphan, and he doesn't want anyone else to go through that shit. That's why he became a spy. Great. Got it. That's all I needed. So why are you in self-denial about, like, giving Anya back and all kind of shit like that? Like, we explored a lot in the first episode, and it was great, and it was funny, and honestly, I'm looking forward to the school shit, because I was cracking up when Anya was reading the minds of the other kids in the test, and them little
they didn't know what the fuck was going on.
They didn't know what the fuck was going on. I'm like, okay, I need more of the kids. Like, this shit's gonna be fucking perfect. So, yeah, the action, I didn't expect it to have, like, action scenes. Like, the nigga was beating niggas up. I was like, when he like, okay, yeah, just, it was great. It had a little bit of everything, but it didn't seem like a salad. It seemed like, well, I don't know. I don't have another analogy ready right now, but it was better than a salad. There we go. What did you think of it?
So, it's no secret that I've been looking forward to the series for over a year. To get it animated. I mean, this is even prior to the announcement when we were talking about all the Jump Online properties that would really be a good fit to make the transition over into, a top series, period. Animated or not. This was very close to the top of my list. I think at the time I was a little more into kaiju than I was into this one, just because I'm
hearing a lot of rumbling about kaiju,
and that's going to be fantastic when they finally get over it as well. But yeah, so I've been looking forward to this a long time. I want to hold up the first 90 seconds of this series as a primer to other creatives, other producers, as to how to make a story and a character work with the minimal amount of investment. In the first 90 seconds of Spy Family, we are told what's the state of the world, what the stakes of the story are going to be. We are introduced to the main character without him ever info dumping any information about himself. And we're visually cued on several occasions that this is a world where the rules are very similar to the rules that we live in. You can die a horrible death. That is an actual outcome that can happen to somebody. In fact, the first thing we see in the series, and within 20 seconds, 2 people have died in a fiery car accident that we're told it was an assassination. So before we even get into the meat of the episode, we have been given all the information we need to understand and properly place everything that comes after for the rest of the series. And you will know within the first 90 seconds if this is your thing. Also, visually, we see the full range. We see night, we see day, we see the cities, we see the architecture. We hear the jazzy music. Yeah. We get, a wide array of character designs. We see our main character do something cool within 90 seconds of the show starting. Like he does something cool, and it's a spy thing. He fakes somebody out with a fake face, steals a bunch of information, which then obviously comes back to inform the B plot of the episode. This is like I don't want to say it's a masterpiece, because there are other openings that I think are similarly efficient and do a similar job. But more as far as like modern shit, this to me should be the standard when you look at how to tell a story in a minimal amount of time. If it was like, here's the teaser to the first 90 seconds, 2 minutes of the series, and then they cut it and it's like, now wait for the rest of the episode. They told a complete story in 2 minutes, because the next 30 seconds is Lloyd faking out the daughter of the mark that he was able to get at in the beginning. And he even tells us when he gets to the alleyway at in the first 5 minutes, it's within the first 3 minutes. Yeah. Everything about his character, right? He's given up his life as like a normal person with like a family and loved ones to live this life as a spy, but he's doing it because he wants to protect the world. He understands that like no one will ever know anything about him. He's going to disappear and die one day in complete anonymity, and he's not remorseful about that, which is important because by the end of the episode we see that's the trick. That's the setup. The trick is Lloyd is going to come to covet all those things that he said in the first minute or two that he didn't care about. Yeah. And now we have something to root for. It's not rooting for like an action scene, like literally something to happen so you could feel something. You are now primed to be watching for every little tick in every episode that lets you know that like, oh, he's breaking down a little bit.
He's changing, yeah.
There's a little bit here and there. And they don't have to give you much, but like, damn, that was fucking satisfying. Like, I love that shit.
Yeah. I mean, best first episode, hands down. I think everyone else agreed because it's like trending like crazy. So
and it damn well better.
Great. Yeah.
I love Anya. Her character is wacky, cute.
And it's true to an actual 6-year-old.
Right.
Very true.
You have no idea, if you are not obviously familiar with the story, you would have no idea within the first 5 or 6 minutes that something like, I'm just gonna call it like magic, but like, psychic powers exist in this world. I didn't know
that. Yeah. Well, before they said it, I was like, is she reading his mind? And they were like, she's a telepath. And I was like, oh, right. Okay.
And they just put it on you, but you have to understand, like, they draw this line visually and also with the energy of the series that it doesn't actually seem crazy anymore. Like, once they say it, and it's like, later on it's like, oh, she was a result of like an experiment, you realize that like that's comedy. That's not like, what was it? The Nighthead that came out a couple seasons ago that was really terrible. But like was a cyberpunk series that were like, let's put psychics in a cyberpunk serious world. It's goofy. The idea of psychics is usually pretty wacky and goofy. and it didn't do anything for that story. Here, it's literally just a device so that Lloyd, who spends the first 6 minutes of the show with a very detailed, strong inner monologue that we hear telling us a story, well, now that inner monologue is talking to somebody, but it's a one-way discussion.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating. That is a really cool conceit, to have like the narrator, who is Lloyd's mind, physically present in the show, but only be able to be heard by one character, a character who is desperately trying to do everything that he wants. That's great. It's just great. It's good storytelling. It's a good conceit. And then they play it for comedy in the middle part of the episode with him trying to, like, he thinks she's a genius, she's cheating, so
Yeah.
so she's trying to live up to those expectations, but also as a child and doesn't want to study, and then she's kind of like, you know, into his whole spy thing. She thinks it's great, you know, it's awesome, it's so cool.
He doesn't know that she knows what's going on.
Right, you know, and then of course, being a kid and fucking around, she accidentally blows his cover. And then that leads to the fight scene, the two cool fight scenes. One was in the apartment, which was awesome. He takes out the 3 guys, and then we get a payoff to the face stealing that he did in the beginning of the episode, when he pulls the same game by faking the audience into thinking he got captured, but very quickly.
And they got my ass. Because I thought he got captured. And then when they popped up, I was like, oh shit, this nigga's good.
Yeah, he faked us out. We who are omniscient and we know everything that, you know, the other characters don't. And then we have another great fight scene. More Anya being cute. The idea that they like shoved her into like a shopping cart, right? And they're like having this like menacing conversation. And she just looks like...
She can read all their minds.
Right. So it's like... You know, it's funny, the guy comes back from the beginning to try to get his revenge, then Lloyd just like mollywops everybody, you know,
I thought he actually shot homeboy in the leg when he would like did that warning shot at the end. I was like, damn, he ruthless. And I was like, oh no, okay, he didn't do it.
Right, which by the way, given that we saw someone get murdered in the very beginning of the episode, we are primed to really believe the violence and the consequences of some of these situations. And the fact that he didn't kill this character actually is going to make, when he does have to kill somebody later, or more people later, it's going to make it even, and this is not one of those silly situations which I complained about in a couple of the series from last season, where like you have this world where there's all this violence, but then nobody dies. Like, there's no consequence for anything. It just sucks the life out of shit. And so they do that. And then, of course, it ends with a very mundane but highly dramatic moment that most parents would be able to relate to. The idea of sitting in anticipation for their kid to take a standardized test, which is like the most... On the one hand, it's incredibly boring, but we have now been told that the stakes of the outcome for this test are the entire fate of the world. So that's what Spy Family does. You know, if you're a reader, they constantly takes these normal stress-filled situations from regular parenting life and child life and adult life, but then adds the over-the-top world-ending stakes and plays them both seriously and for comedy at the same time, and it translates so far perfectly on screen. I love the show. I loved the beginning that the series is having on TV. I hope it gets a great run. Animation was pretty good. Music was good too. Voice acting, perfect. And we haven't even gotten the main cast together yet. So give me more. Yeah. Give me this every week.
I mean, I guess you hit the nail on the head. Like, I'm more so interested in seeing the daily life shit and how they navigate it, because he's never done this stuff before. He's never been a parent.
I loved him reading those books. Like, we had that line where he was like, well, I guess interrogation is out. Like, he was like, you know, and you know, he'll never like, that's the line in the series. Like, he will always try to present himself as a father or a parent. Yeah. But like, there's that, you keep getting reminded like, oh, he's a spy. The spy's first instinct would be to do these over the top things that you never really get to see, because he just, you know, everyone knows more and less than everybody else, which is so cool.
Also, I think one of those moments already happened where he like, it started to break a little bit. Or not break, but like, relax, where he literally like relaxed when he was happy for Anya and like damn near passed out because he's probably been tense forever because he's always looking over his shoulder because he's a fucking spy.
Right.
And his body responded to that. So I thought that was really interesting. Best one for me, I'm looking forward to it. Especially with, where the mom is going to come from, who the mama going to be, and how are they all going to get along together as like the main 3 cast members. Also, I'm looking forward to the supporting cast. The dude that gave him the information, I could already tell he's probably going to be hilarious and stick around and do some like wacky shit also. But at the end of the day, I want to see more like when I just really, really, really enjoyed when she was reading the other kid's mind and homegirl was like, eeny, meeny,
you
miny.
dumb motherfuckers.
I was like, oh my
God. Stupid children.
And I also like how Anya is literally just like, I'm just going to cheat. Like, I don't have to study, but she can't say that out loud. So she's just like, nigga, just chill. Like,
ultimately she wound up studying. That was kind of the...
And that saved her ass because she tried, like, no one else could do it. So
it turned out he was a good teacher because he read all the books.
Yeah. So
That's cool.
that's definitely gonna be a must watch for me. Every week, every Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. It is a split core though, so we're gonna get 12 now and 12 later. But I'm okay with that because we're getting 24, 23. So that's great for a first season. And yeah, I think that is all I watched. That is all I watched.
Same here. That was all I watched this week.
I guess news next. I have like 2 things.
I was so out of it this week.
Stuff's going on with SAG-AFTRA. As far as the voice actors in the union, they're telling them to not work. I know that's been a huge thing, especially after the Crunchyroll merger. And I'm always down for unions. So, it be what it be, man. Give them people money. They deserve it. I mean, think about the amount of money that you guys are making now. I actually had I went out with a friend the other day, and someone at the bar, because I was like wearing my anime hoodie or whatever as usual, because I was like, whatever, bitch, I want to be comfortable. And they were like, they were like, dude, anime is becoming so popular. Like, can you even imagine how much money it's gonna? And I was like, it's already making money. Like, it's already there. So like, when I know that they're like rolling in the money, especially with the Netflix thing, where they were like over 50% of all Netflix viewers in the entire world watched anime on their platform. It's kind of just like you gonna turn into a villain, like Amazon. Is that what we're doing? Because, I mean, you could do that, but then also look at what's happening to Amazon and Starbucks. Unions. Like, people are fed the fuck up. So, we're going to see. All it's going to do is fuck up their money because I'm surprised. Actually, I shouldn't be surprised, but a lot of people fuck with dubs heavily. They don't watch a lot of these series until the dubs come out. And the dubs come out, like, months after the series premiere with the subtitles. So, it's kind of just like, if that puts your schedule behind, then that's going to fuck up your money because then public interest is going to be gone by the time you get it out. So they better figure it out. And what is this? I have something else. I also watched, I forgot to even talk about this. Shikimori's Not Just a Cutie.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. It was interesting. It was hit or miss for a lot of people. I'll go into more detail about it. Like next week. But also, I don't know if we're going to get another episode next week because apparently a lot of the staff at the production company, they caught COVID. So like they were shut down. They are shut down from April 6th to April 17th. So they're trying to figure out how they're going to keep up the schedule. So yeah, we're going to see about that. I really enjoyed it. The opening is gorgeous. It is so gorgeous. Oh my God, it's fucking beautiful. Especially like the action moving part. I was like, what the fuck is this? The episode itself, there wasn't much drama, but there's like an underlying mystery to the show where I'm like, no, some fucked up shit's coming. Like I can already tell some fucked up shit's happening because it comes off as like it's trying to be lighthearted, but the like last scene, the nigga almost died. So I'm kind of just like, nah.
So how serious is it? That's the question.
Yeah, it's like, you're not just unlucky, nigga. You're cursed. Like, this isn't just luck. You're like cursed. Like, this girl has to be near you or you're going to die. So that in and of itself, I was like, I need to find out what the fuck's going on with this. Cause this don't make no sense. This isn't a gag. Cause it went quickly from like being comedic to being like, nigga, how do you get to school? Oh, you have to walk to school with her because she literally saves you the entire time. So yeah, there's something going on, but I'll go more in depth on that later. Did you have any news?
I do, and in a weird way, this is breaking news that I know because of an insider.
Oh, I was gonna be like, is this Genshin Impact like breakup on Twitter?
No.
Fucking
so
kids.
Crunchyroll is beginning to pitch again for internally developed animated programming.
Oh? Wait, are we getting more Tower of God?
They're taking pitches. And
okay, well, you don't need a pitch. Bring it up, bitches. Y'all know what's going on.
They are soliciting both traditional and webcomic series.
Oh,
particularly
yeah, let's do
things that are on some of the popular services that are out there. That's all I can probably say.
Well, you guys are not going to do BJ Alex. I can tell you that right now. So, let's go ahead and let's cue Tower of God back up for seasons 1 through 50. Okay,
and
or 2 through 50.
The other piece that's very interesting, that's why I didn't want to say that Tower of God is coming back or anything like that, is that I also know that one of their requirements is that for an existing webcomic that they might adapt, it must be published in Japan, in Japanese. Otherwise, they are not interested.
Well, I don't know about that for particular ones or not, because I just read the translations. So
that is probably as much as I can say about that subject. I have not seen any reports about this, but I know because I know some people who are in that process with them. Also, related to that, I can tell you and our audience that other streaming services are also pitching similar products. However, the requirements in places non-Crunchyroll, what's the right way to say this? The criteria are very similar to other recently released very popular animated series. And so, while Crunchyroll's thing is that it's got to be big in Japan or at least have a opportunity for a Japanese audience, some of these other streaming services, their requirement is that it's got to be adult. Take from that what you will. So.
Oh wow! So BJ Alex does have a chance. Oh no! Oh shit! Oh my god! This is going to be revolutionary.
Or at least one of these platforms, I was told that they were told in a meeting that it needed to be similar to Castlevania that was recently released on Netflix. Okay,
we're not getting.
Well, that's just I'm saying just one. They're looking for products to adapt that are more in that vein.
Okay, well there are plenty of them out there. So
yeah.
Wow, well this is nice. So we'll start seeing something in 3 or 4 years. That's nice.
Sounds about well. 2 years is probably the turnaround.
Yeah.
And we'll know what is optioned sooner than that. But I just found it very interesting that after many years of being quiet and the disaster that was related to a lot of Crunchyroll's internal development, that they are back to potentially trying to spin up their originals again, and that they are looking at web comics. I didn't hear anything about manga.
You know what? This is so funny because this is exactly what I told people in that discussion that Black Anime Podcast was doing. They were like, what kind of content do you guys think we're gonna get? And I was like, we're going to get manhwas because that's an untapped market. and they kind of led the way with Tower of God already and God of High School. So I think they're probably going to push further into that market, and lo and fucking behold, I mean, it's not official yet, but still, if they do it, then I was right. Duh.
Yeah. So, that's I guess that's news we're dropping, but I also agree. I think it's very interesting what the fallout has been from the prior effort that Crunchyroll made and where they're looking for the future. And if I would hope for a return of their original branding and something that gets far, far away from High Guardian Spice and maybe back to something that they can both own, but also put a lot of good money behind with a built-in fan base that, more anime or more animated projects, the better. That's where I'm at.
The more variety, the better. I agree. Well, that's nice to hear. I have my one thing that I want. So, especially now.
Me too.
Especially now. So it's kind of
there with you.
Whatever, I'll wait. Y'all can get it together, but I'll wait. That's all I have for news, though.
That is also all I have as well.
So I guess the only other thing I really have to talk about today would be stuff that's kind of sliding into the US market, anime wise, that usually couldn't stick, that is sticking. And I saw this conversation on Gunpla. It's Gunpla forums or Twitter, stuff like that. But apparently Gunpla is in Target now.
Yes.
But
there are Target specific
but it's not like the Gunpla kits. It's more, it's bigger pieces or some shit like that. It's way more basic to put together. But
for Americans,
I mean, well, I didn't say it. But
that's what it is
for Americans. And I'm very much so interested in seeing how this goes, because if Gunpla takes off here, can you imagine the live action Gundam movies that we could get? I'd be excited to get that. Because Transformers did a good job. They did a good job so far. But oh wait, no, because then they're gonna cast some scrawny white boy. Okay, well,
so
maybe
as a Gunpla aficionado, I pay a lot of attention, at least to the business side. And there's some things to think about. So if we're seeing kits, especially kits that are on production lines that are specific for the American market, that is to say that they use different parts and they're using different molds.
So they can't be interchanged and shit like that.
Right. What that means is that they have already identified that they've already had the growth that they want. So yeah, because behind the curtains, a lot of the Gunpla that is produced in Japan come off the same mold machines, and they'll all, obviously if you're into collecting, you'll note that between the different grades and the different brands that do that have kits, it's not just Gundam, there's a variety of other kits. They're not going to generally make whole new molds for whole new lines unless there's a profit motive. Now, I don't necessarily know about specifically United States sales, but it's worth thinking about the fact that in one quarter from the end of last year, Bandai Namco alone made almost a third of a billion dollars, almost $300 million on Gunpla sales, and they've been
was
up.
That total worldwide or just
worldwide, but in one quarter. So you have to think about
1 quarter. Oh shit.
Yes, that's right. And they in general have seen year over year over the last 4 or 5 years ridiculous growth. We're talking 10-15% growth year over year on Gunpla sales.
You know what? You got to think about that. You got to thank YouTube and TikTok.
Right, and a lot of that is non-Japanese. I don't know what the percentage is, but there's been an increased demand for Gunpla, both inside Japan and outside Japan. And if you were into the fandom of those model kits, you would notice this because there were more and more and more collaborations with non-Japanese brands and franchises for Gunpla kits, where you would get specific drops going different places. The one at Target is like literally have an American flag branded on the side of a Gundam. I mean, like that tells you all you need to know about like what their target audience is. So the bottom line is that if the fact that they're being stocked in Target and other American stores with kits that are specifically printed for that audience, and they're probably only selling, I think they are Target exclusives.
Yeah.
The market is already there. It's not a case of like, oh, it's going to go up. I mean, it's going to go up, but like this is a response to the fact that there's incredible demand. Yeah. Now, I don't think that Build Divers or Fighters currently airs on any American stations. However, they do stream in English, dubbed. And I've been told multiple times by folks who follow ratings in general that Build Divers and Build Fighters has been a smash hit for Namco Bandai over the last 7 years.
You want to know the funny thing is that I started finding out about this because one of the streamers, Penguin Z, Moist Critical, he got access to that the Gundam shooter game, and I was looking in his chat. And what you say about Build Fighters is so right, because all the Gundams that they were seeing in the game, they were like, oh, that's in Build Fighters. I know that from Build Fighters. That one's from Build Fighters. I'm like, no, that came from... okay. This is a whole, this is the starting point for a shit ton of people.
Yeah.
Like, this is the reference point. So, if that's... And I saw that so much in his chat where I was like... Because I remember the week before we were talking about Exia and how Exia is basically the base Gundam now. It's the base Gundam now. And I'm like, wow, these niggas really do fuck with Build Fighters like that. Like, goddamn. And so then that's when I found out about the Target stuff, and I was like, oh shit, shit's kind of shaking.
Yep.
Okay.
And the last thing I will say is that from a product, like a consumer product point of view, in the United States, one of the reasons why Gunpla has exploded is it's every end of the business. So at the production end, building and printing and producing model kits is sickeningly inexpensive.
Yes, it's so cheap.
It's
plastic.
A regular grade whatever model kit, of anything, costs less than $2 to manufacture. Retail MSRP in the US is about $17 or $18.
Yes,
which is still not that expensive. In fact, that's within the price point for a lot of it hits a vast market. People basically, poor people can afford this for their kids. Okay. It also has no construction cost, which is for toys. Normally you have the factory that prints the pieces, and then it has to go to an assembly line, and then it has to get packaged. Gunpla literally removes 1/3, the most expensive 1/3, which is human labor or machine labor, putting parts together. They don't have to do that shit. They literally, it's like they make you do it. It's like when you go to Aldi and you realize why it's so cheap is because they make you do everything they would normally pay somebody to do. Right? You even you gotta return your own carts. They make you pay for your cart. They make you, bag your own groceries. That's how these bigger brands save money, is human labor. Gunpla has been doing this shit for 25, 30 years with almost labor-free printing and packaging. When they sell them overseas, they can still get a tremendous markup. Target is probably making, I would guess, about $8 on every kit that's sold, and they can buy them wholesale, and they cost almost nothing. The packaging is like a cardboard box and some plastic bags inside, right? For like just regular kits. This is the cheapest shit. The cheapest shit, and it's easy, and for anyone to get access to, this is just going to print more money. This is insane. And if the kits are simpler for like dumbass Americans, I mean, what are you gonna? I mean, unstoppable.
Cardboard.
Right.
Just this material is nothing. I don't even see this costing more than 50 cents.
Probably not. Oh, you know the best part, right? It also fits in with the current like exclusive hype culture where they can easily and have for decades printed special kits, special editions, limited drops, limited releases, rare things. There's a secondary market for, you know, all that stuff. And because of the Build Divers, Build Fighters line, where you have some interoperability of a lot of kit parts, you had that whole other area of Gunpla, which is tied more into like it's less like, oh, I'm gonna get an action figure, and more I'm gonna become a hobbyist. It's a straight line for kids, and it's like very affordable. So
I think the affordability is the huge part, because like these kits, these were like what, like $15-20. Mm-hmm. And so I was just like, oh, I'm going to get like 4 or 5 of these hoes then. Like, yeah, like stock it up. Let's go. Let's do it. And the fact that now they're going through Target, but even so, I don't know. I noticed that, and I was going to bring that up, but that's also, of course, you were going to know more about it. So I was like, damn, but I didn't know that it was really this proliferate.
It's ridiculous. And
so it's only a matter of time until Hollywood catches on.
And mind you, the figure that I quoted earlier for Gunpla was only considering Gundam models. Their entire model kit division in that same period almost doubled that. They made it like over $650 million on just on their whole model division. Wow. So I don't know what else to say. It's I believe that this is going to be a long and fruitful partnership between Namco and American distributors. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. All right. Any recommendations for the week?
You know, this was a light week. I don't really have any games or. I mean, with the new anime season, I think that tends to soak up a lot of like my interest. There are some manhwa series that I'm waiting for to come back from their seasonal break, and one of them is the Book Eating Magician, which I really, really enjoyed.
Oh yeah.
But they've been on break since December, so they should be coming back sometime soon this month. I don't know exactly when, but when that happens, I will probably shout it out, and that'll probably be a recommendation for a later date.
Yeah, I don't really have anything either. All I've been doing is editing. Triangle strategy got really good, but I've recommended that so many times already. I'm pretty sure y'all are tired of hearing about that, but that story really that's some real Game of Thrones shit, y'all. But yeah, that is all I have for this week. So if you haven't already, make sure you follow us Twitter @anime_savants, and then regular Anime Savants on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Another reminder, if you're listening to this, you can watch us make facial expressions and jump in the chair on YouTube. You can also listen on Facebook straight through the RSS feed. That's there also. And if you are listening on a platform that allows ratings, please make sure you rate us. It will help us so much. And what else is there? Yeah, that's that. Yeah. If you want to see previews of the episodes, follow social media. That way you'll know what we're talking about.
You can hit me up anytime on Twitter @NeuralHandshake. I appreciate the pleasant vibes we've been getting from the community lately, and let's keep that energy, right? The season is so far is somewhat disappointing, but there's some good stuff, and
I mean that just gives me more time to catch up on stuff that I wanted to watch from previous seasons, to be honest.
Right, and also I don't want to make it a habit of just like ranting about whackness on a weekly basis. We're gonna pick some entertaining stuff. I may have to dip into the better romance offerings this season, because my interests are not being served elsewhere.
We can start going through our Bleach takes, to be honest, because we have so many of them. So we can go through our Bleach takes, we can go through our shonen takes. We got a whole list of stuff that we can get through while we just talk about Spy X Family.
Right, exactly. Just like a light appetizer, so we could just talk more about Spy X Family. If Spy X Family is the only one we're covering this season, I'm not gonna be, in a tizzy, because
there needs to be some kind of break. But yeah, we'll see. We'll let y'all know. Yeah.
True.
Bye.
All right, peace out, y'all.